Okay, cool.
I'm ready to be amazed, Landon. Like the greatest showman. We should play some
Yeah,
music for you.
I need, some smoke machine. Okay, so, hey, Greg, it's super nice to meet you tonight. My name's Landon. I just want to share a little bit about my background. I was actually introduced to this company 15 years ago by an auntie of mine. I was working in construction. Um, I was really looking for something. I wanted to make more money. I wanted to be my own boss. I grew up in a household of entrepreneurs, but I saw my parents really struggle. So I was looking. I never wanted to work for someone else my whole life. I was really looking for something, working very hard, not afraid to work hard, but just wasn't sure what it was. And I feel super lucky that I had an aunt of mine from Grand Prairie, drove down to Calgary, and she was a full-time in healthcare, but part-time she was working with WFG. And she shared some awesome information with her sister and my uncle and helped them with a bit of a financial plan. And then she shared with them that she was making some really great part-time money. And her sister ended up joining her in the business. And I asked if I could do it as well. And that was the start I had to this awesome opportunity. And I started off part-time. I really loved that I could start part-time. I still had a full-time job, but on a part-time basis, I started to learn how to help families. I learned about financial education. I helped some of my close family, my brother, my sister, some of my good friends, started to make some good part-time money. And then I ended up quitting my full-time job and coming in full-time. And this has been an awesome career. We started off in Calgary, built a really great business. And about 4 years ago, we moved to Vancouver with my wife and kids. And that's where we are right now. So I'm super excited to be able to share this with you. Adam, spoke really highly of you, and yeah, just excited to be here. So I'm going to talk about building a new industry because the current financial industry has done such a poor job of actually helping families. I think, you look at it right now, if you have a lot of money, then the financial industry really wants to work with you. If, you don't have much money, you really get left over. You walk into a bank, you get sold a product. You probably aren't saving much money. No one really wants to spend the time to educate you. You probably get more advice on which credit card to open up than you do actually how to build a financial foundation. So that's what we are doing differently. We want to bring education to families, and we have a national financial literacy campaign. I'm so proud of what we do. I believe in financial education. I believe that's the bridge to be able to help people change their life. We came out with a book called Saving Your Future. Just a fantastic little book. In fact, it's about 100 pages, and it talks step by step how money works. And I'm going to share some stats with you. In Canada, 1 in 4 Canadians has to borrow to buy food or pay for daily expenses because they run out of money. 1 in 6, they're not even making enough. 70% of Canadians are worried they're not saving enough. And, Greg, when I share that, how does that make you feel?
Not good.
Not good, right? And probably not surprised either. And it's ironic that we live in one of the wealthiest countries in the world, but we always have money problems. And we can work hard all of our lives, but still retire poor. We do so much to raise our kids just to see them finish college with a lot of debt, and debt becomes a way of life. And you think about it, like, why? It's not necessary. We live in such an awesome country, but yet absolutely everyone's struggling. So that's what we want to be able to change. We look at some of the stats. 20% of the population controls 74% of the wealth. How do the rich people continue to grow rich, and why do poor people become even poorer? But yet there's a growing number of millionaires. We have more millionaires today than ever before. Canada is the 8th highest country in the world in percentage of millionaires. And who do these people look like? Growing up, I always thought they played hockey, right? They were in the NHL, or maybe they were a famous actor or a musician. But many of them, they're not celebrities. They're not fancy people. They never received an inheritance. They're just normal, average people that build up their financial future with knowledge, planning, and consistent practices over a long period of time. So they're just the average person. And I think a great question is, what do these rich people know that poor people don't know? Well, I know that the poor are becoming poorer and bad habits and poor decisions add up. Number one is they don't budget. So money comes in and money goes out. They don't have financial goals, not for retirement, college education, or healthcare. They have really expensive taste. I grew up in Saskatchewan and no one there looked wealthy. I came to Calgary and everyone looked like a millionaire. They drove nice vehicles, they lived in nice houses, they wore nice fancy clothes. And people live with a lot of credit cards. In fact, today you can finance everything. People don't think about, the car, can I afford it? They think, can I afford the monthly payment? How many people actually paid cash for a cell phone? Or did we just add $20 a month to our phone plan and now we financed it over 2 or 3 years? And those payments, they start to add up and they really choke people. Poor people don't prepare for emergencies. One thing happens and the family gets wiped out and they work for a living. Nothing wrong with working, but if a person only has one income stream, is that really enough to be able to have a good life now and prepare for the future? And they don't have good knowledge and are often not interested into financial matters. Well, it's time for a change. We believe in financial education. Your future is not in the hands of your employer, your union, or your government. It's neither in the hands of your bank nor your broker. The future is in your hands. So we want to teach you how to be able to make more money, how to save, accumulate, and protect your money. In fact, you can be educated and you can become your own money manager. Knowing less can cost us more. And I think we all have probably a story of some financial decision we made that we wish we never made just because we lack knowledge. You can understand how money works and you can learn how to make money start to work for you. So you can't build wealth unless you build a financial foundation. So actually my background is construction. And if we were to go out and build a house, step one is you need a blueprint. You don't just go and call random tradespeople and, they start, showing up to the job site and you order materials. It would be a disaster. But think about most people building their financial house. They don't really have a plan and they don't really have anyone that's working with the different parts of it. So when we're building your financial foundation, we want to start with the foundation, which is proper protection. We want to make sure if you pass away, get hurt, get sick, that your family is going to be all right. Next, we want to help you manage your debt, which I'll talk more about later, help you create an emergency fund, and then save and invest your money. And like building a house, we want to build it from the ground up. A lot of people, Greg, they don't want to talk about finances because they feel they don't have enough money to invest, right? Or they're already investing money. And that's great, but that's like the roof of the house. So when we work with families, we want to work with people to help them move from financial insecurity. Maybe they have a bunch of debt. Maybe they don't have any savings. Well, we can work with those types of people and help them become financially secure, get their debt paid off, start to have an emergency fund, start to have some savings with the end goal of helping them become financially independent, which, financial independence is when your passive income, it pays for your lifestyle. So let's explore what we actually do, how to build this. So proper protection, learn to protect your income, your health, and your assets. Out here in Vancouver, you always carry an umbrella because it usually rains and you don't want to get wet. Well, think about your financial, house. If something were to happen to you, with the amount of money you have saved right now, is that enough to be able to take care of your family forever? For most people, it's not. And even a lot of people that own insurance, they own it, but they don't really know what they own. Is it enough? How much is it? So that's something we can help you explore. Next is debt management. Well, you can learn to manage your debt and become debt-free. I absolutely love this. This is from a workshop that we run, and I'm just going to share a little bit of it, but we spend a whole hour teaching people how to get out of debt. But we teach people how to list all their debt from the highest balance right down to the lowest. So the highest might be a mortgage, bank loan, car loan, all the way to a little credit card. So what do most people do? They just pay minimums or they pay a little extra on everything, but they never really get out of debt. So what we're going to do is is pay minimum on everything except add an extra $100 a month to the smallest balance. So here, this person's paying $10 a month minimum, and it was going to take them 19 months to pay off. But with a $110 payment, they'll now pay that off in 2 months. And what we're going to do is roll that payment up to the next smallest debt. And what we do is we start to build momentum. It feels so good to be able to check something off. You feel like you're making progress. And we encourage people to be disciplined, to not use their credit cards anymore. Once they pay it off, to be able to keep rolling it up. Once they pay off a car, to not finance another vehicle. Pay off the bank loan, pay off the mortgage. And this person, with just an extra $100 a month, instead of 30 years, is debt-free in 17 and a half years. Isn't that incredible? Man, well, Greg, think about it. How many people need to hear about this?
Everybody does.
And you know what? It's good to be able to share it. You know, I feel like $1 million being able to sit down with families every day and be able to share something with them that absolutely no one's talking with them about. But it's a problem that 50% of people have. Next, let's talk about building an emergency fund. Learn to build up 3 to 6 months of income for emergencies. So if something happens, you have enough money set aside that you aren't gonna be in a tough spot. And then finally, let's learn to save and invest. And so I love that we say learn to save and invest, because it's not about buying an investment. See, most people, they own a bunch of products, but they have no idea how this stuff works. So let's explore this. So let's assume that you make $60,000 a year and you set aside 10% of your income every month, which is $500 a month or $17 a day. And you start when you're 30 years old. Well, in 30 years, by age 60, with an 8% return, you'd have $745,000. Is that cool?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, again, how many people need to hear about this? Like every single 20, 30-year-old, we need to shake them and say, look, the $17 that you're spending at Starbucks, or eating out, I mean, you can't even go to the movies for $17, and daily people are spending this. Let's put this aside. Just for illustrative purposes, with a 10% return, that's $1.1 million. So that's the millionaire next door. That's the person that they never needed to make $1 million a year. In fact, I believe every single person can become financially independent. At 60, let's assume that you stopped, but you just let your nest egg accumulate. Well, with 8% in 9 more years, you'd have 1.5 million at 69. So you only save from 30 to 60. With a 10% return, you'd have 2.3 million. So you can become financially independent. And you might be a little bit older. You might need to learn how to save more money. But the principle is the same, is you can become a financially independent person. And we believe that anyone can. You also want to understand taxes. When saving, you want to consider the effect that tax has on your income. See, your money's either going to be taxed now, it's going to be tax deferred, so tax later, or it's going to be tax advantaged. Well, are you paying too much in tax? Right? Page 17 of Saving Your Future, we want to make sure that you understand everything about your investments. What do you know about saving for university? Well, preparing for the cost of university starts with a solid understanding. Many parents will spend thousands of dollars on birthday parties for 2-year-olds that do not remember it. But yet our kids are going to remember the student loans that they have. And a lot of times it's just priorities. It's just, when a kid's born, let's do the right thing for them. Let's find out the government programs that are available, and let's help them not have a student loan. What do people know about planning for retirement? How many people are 55 or 60 years old? They're getting ready to retire, but they know nothing about old age security. They don't know anything about Canada Pension Plan. Will they receive a full payout, a partial payout? What about guaranteed income supplement? What are the taxes going to be like when they retire? Well, imagine this person walks into the bank. How much education are they going to get?
None.
I mean, should they start Googling it? Go on the Government of Canada website? I mean, it's on there, but are they able to navigate that on their own?
Probably not.
Probably not. Do they feel confident? So they need someone that can sit down with them and actually work with them. And I'd like you to hear from some of the people that have just joined this education campaign. Financial education is the best thing I could share to someone. It's for their future. I became a member of WSB because I love the idea of becoming financially educated and helping others, especially my family, do the same. In fact, that echoes how I felt. You know, when I got my license, the first person that I helped was actually my brother. He's a year and a half younger than me, and he started investing $100 a month. And then he got a really good job and he started investing thousands of dollars a month. And now he's in his early 30s and he has hundreds of thousands of dollars inside his investment account. So he is one of those future millionaire next doors because I was able to share some awesome education with him. I mean, and we just have so many examples. So Greg, I'd invite you to be part of this financial literacy campaign. If you enjoy financial education, if you think this is something that everyone should know, then we need some help. In fact, we have a big mission. We want to educate 30 million families by 2030. And it's something that we actually keep track of. We've educated around 2.2 million people right now. We have over 300 financial centers across Canada and the US. And it's incredible. A person can walk into any financial center and they can work with our team there. They can get a great financial education. They can even join our business to be able to help share this with other people. We run financial classes on Monday to Friday online. So we run these 3 times a day and they're all live. So you can jump on and you can get an education on a different aspect of your money. So I taught workshop number 1 last night, which is building savings and wealth. Tonight, we're going to talk about increasing cash flow and managing debt. So we're going to spend a whole hour to teach people how to set a budget, how to get out of debt, preparing with proper protection. I mean, all of these workshops are so invaluable, and I'd really invite you to be part of that. We have over 79,000 members in our community. We have an awesome community on Facebook where we're always sharing wins, and it's just a community that lifts people up. We've shared this education inside families' homes, inside public libraries, schools, and universities. In fact, that's a good friend of mine, Dr. Dahlia Maya. She's a professor of economics at Harvard University. She's part of our team. And you know, she's actually helped us design some of these workshops, and she's there educating the staff and the faculty at Harvard. We've taught this inside a lot of churches, small businesses and big corporations, government agencies, and the people we care the most about are our friends and family. And now that this is online, we just have access to absolutely everyone. We're also a community that gives back. And I do love talking about this because in the financial industry, everyone talks about how much money people make. But there's so much more to that. I mean, even just being in Canada, we have more money than, even the poorest person has more money than 90% of people on the planet. So we believe in financial education. We partner with an organization called Charity Water, and they believe every human deserves clean water. So we're actually we're their largest sponsor, not from a corporate level, from people just like us. But since mid-2020, we've helped them raise over $2.4 million. And you know, it's awesome. We talk about this as soon as we see our team starting to make a little bit of money. We say, you know what? Can you give $10 a month or $20 a month, $50 a month to a great charity? And this is a new normal. You know, Greg, if I was to ask you about COVID, how did it affect you? Was it for better, for worse?
Well, kind of both. Some things a lot worse, and I guess a few things better. I get to work from home sometimes now. I got to spend more time with my family, but obviously there was lots of terrible things about it too.
Totally. I mean, I think that's probably the story of most people. I think a lot of people got afraid. I think, you know, it affected people in different ways, but also it opened up a whole world of possibility. And I want to talk about that. I think people are changing. You know, COVID gave us time to pause, to be able to think about what's really important in our life. And people are looking for a better future work. I sit down with a lot of people today and they just want more freedom. They want flexibility. You mentioned working from home, having a better lifestyle, being able to do something that has a real purpose, because life is too short to just work for a living. Well, you can be part of this business platform. We have a world-class support system. We're a fast-growing organization with a diverse business platform in the financial industry. If it wasn't for this awesome platform, a guy like me with a construction background never would have been able to get started. And we have an incredible track record. Many of our team members have become financially independent. Many more make a good part-time income, pay off their debt, and are building a strong financial future. Those are the stories that I just love. I got a lot of people working with me that have came over here. They believe in financial education. They got their license and they're sharing with people every month. And guess what? That can be significant. You know, imagine you can make an extra $2,000 or $3,000 or $4,000 a month, Greg. What would that do for your financial situation?
I'd use it to pay off debt.
Man, that's awesome. Because you're not totally free until you're financially free. I mean, we live in a free country, but how free are people? You know, pretty much they're slaves to their car payment, to their mortgage, slaves to their job. There's not much freedom, not unless you have a lot of money. So life is all about choices. You can change your thinking and change your future. So number one, you can save your future, increase your knowledge and learn how to make more money. You know, what would happen if even with just some good knowledge on your personal finances, you could free up a little bit of money, maybe you were spending that that wasn't the best spot for it, or you were able to get your money working a little harder for you. That little money can turn into a lot, but also you could build up your future. Start building a business in a growing industry and be your own boss. You know, the reality is a lot of people not everyone is super bad with money. Some people just don't make enough money. And I know for me, I don't want to, have to budget down to a penny. You know, I live in an expensive city. I probably can't budget my way to the life that I really want to live. So financial literacy, it's important, and discipline is important, but also I wanted to make a lot more money. And, I'd open that door for you. You know, if you're the type of guy who's an entrepreneur, you've always wanted to do something for yourself, then, hey, we got an awesome platform here. We got an incredible team. You know, you're the type of guy I'd absolutely love to work with. You know, Adam told me you do have a bit of a business background. You said you have a couple young kids, but, you're hungry to be able to do more. And I think a guy like you, if you and I started to work together, there's no reason why you couldn't have a part-time income that started to challenge your full-time income. And you can be part of something big. Share the campaign and build an organization around the US and Canada and make a difference. Build a great family, create a legacy, and help the less fortunate. I think we got a big mission. There's a lot of people that do truly need help. And I think we're in a pretty privileged position to be able to bring that help to them. So Greg, in closing, I'd invite you to join our campaign and our cause to help fight debt, financial insecurity, and financial illiteracy. I'm fired up because we're going to educate 30 million families by 2030. And I need your help. Most of the people you know will never get this without you. So I'd invite you to be part of this, to join my team, or at least to be able to get some education and let me help you with your finances. But, out of those two things, what's the most exciting for you?
I think it's all pretty exciting. So what would be the next step?
Awesome. Well, if you're interested in actually being part of our business and getting your license to help families, it's about $600 to get started. There's some licensing that's involved. That's kind of step by step. It's not all due at the same time. But if you want to get started, I'd absolutely love to start working with you.
Okay. I'm like, what else do people say in that sort of, what else do people say in that situation? Let's give Landon a quick round of applause, you guys. Wow, great job. I can see why it's so easy to see why you're so successful at this. I mean, can you just imagine? And I know whenever I see a presentation that's a little bit different, I start thinking like, oh my God, this is the best thing ever. And this is amazing. And here's the reality is that whatever presentation you use, it's a great presentation, whichever one that you use. So if Landon gets this information himself in front of 20 to 25 people a week, how many of them are going to show interest in something? And then if combined, in addition to that, his team is getting in front of another 100 or 150 people a week, then how many people are going to be interested in something? Right. And so, yes, it's an incredible presentation and it's great information, but it really does come back to the volume of how many people you are getting that in front of. Now, would you be, so how long, somebody was asking in the chat, how long does this normally
This is
take
it.
to do, like 30 minutes roughly, or does it
Yeah,
less?
I did it like pretty much at the exact speed.
Okay, cool. And do you use the exact same one for BPM and for a one-on-one?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And then do you have time to go through the basic info gather process with me as well? If we have another 20 minutes, can you do that?
Hey, yeah, I can. So if the person, so how I do it is I have it on my iPad. So I would just need to join here. Oops. Sorry, just give me a second here.
Yeah, it's all good. I kind of just threw that at you. So
yeah, I think the key is simplicity. Like, and by the way, like I've seen your guys' presentation. It's so simple. If a person, but yet I still meet a lot of people who, I mean, even in our world, who they've been part of it for 3 months or 6 months and they aren't presenting yet. And I've just always believed that if you can get a person to be able to start presenting right away, then you just have another person who's going to be able to bring more people. Right. So everything I do is really to try to simplify it as much as I can. Okay. I need to be able to share again.
You should be able to.
Oh, okay. I just changed it. Okay. Okay.
Fancy.
Super fancy. One page.
No, I meant fancy that you brought that thing up on the screen.
Oh, yeah. So if you said, Greg, yeah. So basically, like the way that I do it is I just join the meeting with my iPad and my computer, or if I'm in front of families face to face, then I'll just use a binder and I have this one pager. But I'll always start off by, hey, Greg, you said you're interested in your finances. Obviously, like you and Andrew would be there because I'd make sure 100% of the time I have husband and wife that are both there. Yeah. And if they're, and I'll tell you a secret of mine, if they're not there, then I'll reschedule the meeting for them to be there. And that's a real thing. Sometimes my team gets pissed off at me when I do that. But sometimes when you say, do you know what? It's been great meeting you. You said your wife's putting the kids to bed. Let's reschedule. He's like, you know what? Just hold on. He'll pause it and then he'll go and bring his wife. And she was putting the kids to bed. But because if you're presenting without both of them being there, you're just not going to close business, right? Because it's just, you're going to have the husband explaining what he thought he saw to the wife, and it's just not going to work. So that's, I think, a really important part of it on the business side. You guys probably know. But then when I start gathering information, I'll just jump into it. Hey, Greg, I'm going to gather some financial information so that I can have an idea on what you and Andrew are doing right now.
Sure.
And we can. So, Greg, I actually want you to go get Andrea. I'm just joking.
She's in Phoenix. It's going to be hard.
So
he's putting the kids to bed.
Yeah. So let's talk about some of the dreams and goals that you got. In the next year, what's important to you?
Got a credit card that I want to pay off.
Okay, pay credit card. Yeah, awesome. Anything else?
Would like to save money to take the kids to Disney.
Okay, great.
I think that's about it.
Yeah, great. Any medium-term goals or longer-term goals?
Yeah, I mean, saving for retirement would be important, and saving for a new house.
Sweet. What kind of a house?
Nothing too crazy at this point, but just something that's bigger, maybe, and a little bit newer.
Okay, awesome. Great. Okay, so let's just assume that I go through all that.
Yeah.
Okay, Greg, what's your income? What do you get paid right now?
100,000.
Okay, awesome. Do you make any?
Just kidding.
Yeah. That's it. Do you have any other income coming in from any other sources?
Yeah, I have a landscaping business in the summer that I make an extra $10,000.
Oh, sweet. That must be fun.
Yeah, it's okay.
Like on the weekends, you get to exercise, get a
Pretty
nice.
much, yeah.
Yeah, great. Okay, hey, let's talk about assets. Do you guys have you ever done any kind of saving, or are we starting from ground
Yeah,
zero right now?
we've got about $5,000 in our kids' our ESP, and we've got about $20,000 in an RSP.
Man, good for you guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, where's that at?
It's at TD Bank.
Okay, cool. Do you got a like super fantastic advisor or just regular?
And I don't think I have an advisor.
Yeah, awesome. Are you open to getting that working harder with me?
Yeah,
Cool. Yeah, I'd love to show you some ideas. Can you grab your statements?
yeah, for sure.
Hey, awesome. How much do you contribute to those?
$200 to the RSP and $100 to the RESP.
Okay, great. Perfect. Hey, what about life insurance, or what about insurance? Do you got any life insurance?
We just have more. We have mortgage life insurance on our mortgage.
Oh, good for you guys. And how much do you pay for that?
I think it's about $100. No, I think it's like 150 actually.
God, you're an idiot. Don't you know that that's such a bad product? Just joking. Don't do that. But I'm sure you've all had a trainee that has done that before. So
Probably.
hey, let's talk about liabilities. Do you guys own your house?
Yeah, we do.
Okay, cool. How much do you have left on the mortgage?
I think about 400,000.
Okay, cool. You guys got any vehicle loans, student loans, credit cards?
Yeah, my wife has a vehicle loan. Her car is $500 a month. And we have $10,000 on a credit card.
Just one credit card?
Yeah.
Okay, well, good for you. And is that something is that balance like going up or kind of staying the same, or are you starting to pay it down?
It's roughly staying the same.
Staying the same. And how much a month do you normally put on that?
Like $350.
Okay. Okay, sounds good. You know, like I would take some time potentially to be able to go through some different expenses with them, just depending on the situation.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like if maybe I'll say they're like lower income, and you know, I just want to find out kind of where their money's going if there's not going to be much to work with. But you know, then I'll normally ask like, Greg, on a monthly basis, what do you feel that you and Andrea can save after you pay all your expenses?
I think maybe we could put away like an extra $200.
Okay, that's great. On top of what you're doing right now?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, great. And then I'm going to share something with you called Dime. Have you ever, you know, has anyone ever talked to you about how to calculate how much life insurance you guys need?
No.
Okay, cool. Well, this is something called Dime. It's really simple. It just starts with debt, income, mortgage, and education. So, you know, for debt, you guys don't have that much debt, maybe like $30,000 with your card and your credit card. Your income, you make about $110,000 a year. So if anything were to happen to you, we'd want to replace that income for about 10 years.
Okay.
Does that kind of seem reasonable with how young your kids are?
I guess so. I've never really thought about it.
Yeah, you know, you think about you're making 110 grand a year. If you weren't here today, you know, your youngest is 8. Hey, you probably want to have enough money coming in so that Andrea can still stay at home and be able to raise the kids, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. If something were to happen to you, would you want the house paid off?
Definitely.
Okay, great. For education, I know that you guys have already started saving for the kids, for the girls. But would you want to be able to like top off their education if you weren't here?
Definitely.
Do you have a rough idea of approximately how much you think that would be?
50,000 each.
Yeah, it's probably reasonable. So if I just do some quick napkin math, you probably need about $1.6 million of coverage. Now you have a job, you probably have some group insurance through there.
Yeah, I have twice my income.
Okay, awesome. So I'd minus a couple $100,000 from that. So I'd say you need probably about $1.4 million of coverage.
Okay.
Right. And I can give you some ideas next time we get together on kind of the best way to do that. You know, for your wife, you'd probably want the house paid off. And I guess I forgot to ask if she was working, but let's pretend that she's not working.
She's not.
Okay. Yeah. So let's say, I mean, she probably needs about $1 million, something like that, to be able to pay off the house and then still make sure that you guys have a good income coming in.
Mm-hmm.
So, hey, why don't we start there? And then why don't you get me your RSP statements and we can go from there.
Okay.
And so then I'd set up the next meeting with them and, like obviously do some planning in that. Like for them, they're probably like $150 a month to replace the mortgage insurance, $200 a month to save. They don't have a TFSA set up yet. This would be a term policy, most likely for me, that I would show them. But maybe if they said, hey, we got $600 a month to save, then it might be a couple small ULs and then, some term riders on that.
Yeah. So let's maybe say that I could save $800 a month. What I'm kind of curious about, probably what everybody's curious about, is do you start talking about anything to do with the UL concept or whole life concept right now? Or do you just talk about the amount and then you bring back the type of plan after that? Yeah, which is kind of what Bernardo and Laura are asking in the chat.
Yeah.
Well. Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. So typically I won't gather information on my first meeting. A lot of times. I find like by the time I build rapport and then maybe a 30-minute presentation, I'm already probably like 45 minutes into it.
Mm-hmm.
Then it might be a little tight to be able to gather financial information, especially if I'm doing like back-to-back meetings. Cause like literally, like I got a meeting that starts in 11 minutes. So like every meeting of mine is 1 hour. So then what I'll do is I'll set up another time that I can gather information. And then if I have that extra time, then I can explain, like I'll do dime with them and then I'll explain term, universal life, and like the 4 pillars.
Okay. So can you quickly explain that to me right now and say like, oh yeah,
Sure.
Landon, I've got $800 a month and I agreed, yeah, I probably need 1.4 million of coverage, something like that. So how do you start talking about term and permanent and whatever else?
Sure. So Greg, there's basically, so the first thing I sell them on is how much coverage they need, right? Yeah. So they kind of agree to that. That looks good. And then basically there's, 4 places that we can save money. So you have something called an RSP. Are you familiar with that?
Yep.
Okay, awesome. So an RSP, the benefit is we're saving with before tax money. Our money also grows tax deferred, right? So let's just assume that you make $100,000 a year and you put 10,000 in your RSP, you'll only pay taxes on 90,000, which is awesome, right? So those are both good things. The downside of an RSP is when you go to pull your money out, every dollar of it's taxable.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's sort of not the most ideal if all of our money is inside an RSP, but if you're in a big income right now, then it's a great way to get a tax deduction upfront. Okay. You have something called a tax-free savings account, best vehicle that we have in Canada to be able to invest money with. You're paying with after-tax money, but then you never pay tax when you go to pull it out. So what's really important is we make sure that we have a good investment that's going on inside it. Okay. And we also want to make sure that we don't put money in, pull it out, put it in, pull it out. You have something called a non-registered investment account. So pretty much before TFSAs, that's where everyone put their money. And we just want to make sure that, if you have TFSA room, we're not putting all of our money inside a non-registered account because it's just taxed annually. So every year as the money's growing, if it spits off some income, we pay tax on it. If we ever change something inside the portfolio, we pay taxes on it. And then 50% of the gain is taxed. When we go to pull it out, depends on kind of where it was invested. And then in Canada, we have something called universal life. So I'm going to talk about UL because I think it could fit in your guys' situation. We need life insurance anyways. And if we can do it in a way that can give us some other advantages, then I think it's pretty awesome. So easiest way to explain universal life is it looks like an orange. Orange is, pretty easy example. You have an outside skin, which protects your inside fruit. So your outside skin is life insurance. And life insurance is gonna protect the inside fruit, which is your investment. So when you're putting money in, part of your money covers the cost of insurance. And then you can fund a policy additionally to build up an investment inside. So you have many different places you can invest. So we can go really conservative to really aggressive and higher risk. In fact, we can pick the same type of investments that go inside our TFSA or RSP can go inside there. Every policy has a minimum and every policy has a maximum. Our minimum is basically our cost of insurance. So that's paying for the skin of the orange. If a person wants to be able to have enough inside a policy that you don't need to fund it when you're older, then we need to put more money inside it so that even when we're old, our cost of insurance can get paid for by the investment. If a person wants to be able to build up something significant inside their policy, maybe have something to help them supplement retirement, then we need to really overfund the policy so that we have enough that can not only pay for cost of insurance, but we can also have an income stream later on. And there's different ways that we can access money. I'm not going to dig too deep into it right now, but because it's an insurance policy, it's not taxed as it's growing, and we can borrow against the cash inside the policy to be able to borrow from the bank without paying taxes on it when we go to retire, if it's properly funded. So every insurance, the government puts a maximum on how much you can put into it. So we need to fund it in between the minimum and the maximum. And then there's going to be an ideal amount you put in based on why we're setting this policy up. Does that make sense?
I think so.
Yeah. So maybe if you just wanted to have a life insurance that could pay you for the rest of your life, then we would obviously put less into it than if we want to be able to have something in retirement that could build up and be another income stream along with the other investments. Make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense.
So the cool thing is if we're going to pay for insurance anyways, why don't we have an insurance that can last our whole life that we can also have the opportunity to build up some investment?
And so just as a side note, just to be clear, you don't believe in just putting all of everybody's money into a life insurance policy?
I would probably say, well, I just looked, Greg, on a monthly basis, I have 125,000 of PAC business. Personal, 125,000 a monthly on W Connect. I have 52 pages of PAC business every month. So every single client of ours, we set up a TFSA for. We do a lot of money in RSP as well, because like a person, like I really think that, and that's where persistency comes in too, because I think our persistency is like 94%, and the reason is it's just so flexible. And the thing that like really irritates me so much is when people buy insurance thinking that it's an investment. Now, like every policy I have sold is a life insurance policy. People know they're buying a life insurance policy, and they know that, yes, there's an investment component into it, but first and foremost, it's a life insurance policy. So it's not like you come across a 25-year-old that, thinks he set up an investment. He's like, what do you mean this is a life insurance policy? right? And then that's the reason why people get pissed off. And that's, I like the way that you guys do business too, because, I know that it's not just every dollar goes into an insurance policy, and pretty much every policy of ours is a certain amount permanent with a big term rider on it. Right? Because and the crazy thing is, if I wanted to run crazy business, I could have had a 5 million point base shop last year. If I never did term riders, if we never did TFSA business, that's what, yeah. So you can do things the right way and still run a really, really good business. And you just need to have a really good volume, but then your clients love you. You get a ton of referrals. Your team feels good, because nothing feels worse than a client that cancels. So you're better to start them off at the level that they can afford. They feel good about it. They know what they own, versus you kind of oversell it. They're pissed off, and then your agent quits too. Right. Which I know that's 100% preaching to the choir, because, that's part of how I learned the business was from you, Greg. So.
Thanks, man. And I appreciate those comments, because our team hears that from our leadership about offering diverse products, and the right thing to do is not to just sell a giant insurance policy to every client. And well, why is that? Because it's not what's best. When you look at how these different accounts work, RSPs are beneficial for some people, TFSAs are beneficial for everybody. Our ESPs, obviously have benefits as well. But when you're constantly, if somebody's constantly battling their client, trying to convince them that they need to be putting $500 or $1,000 a month into a policy and not buy anything else, it's frustrating for the agent. It's frustrating for the client. More clients are going to cancel, and it's just not the right thing to do. So to hear that you're running the biggest base shop in Canada, and that you're doing things in a way where you're offering diverse products and doing, in our opinion, what's actually right for the consumer. It's just awesome to hear that. So I know you have a meeting in 1 minute. Everybody, let's give Landon a huge round of applause. Thank you so much for being here, man. Your presentation was awesome. Your info gather was awesome. But aside from the fact that, yes, it was awesome, really the key to Landon's success is the volume of appointments that he's doing, which comes down to his work ethic and, all of that sort of thing. So just sincerely appreciate you taking the time, brother. Let's give him a round of applause.
Hey, thanks so much, buddy. And I'm coming back to close that policy with you guys tonight. So
yeah, sounds good. I'll see you there.
Okay, awesome. See you guys.
Have a good day, man. All right, everybody. I won't keep you on for long, because I would just kind of be repeating myself. But obviously, this is not about changing any of the presentations that we do. Can we all agree that his presentation was awesome? Can we all agree that? Yeah. Can we also agree that it's not really better than what we're doing right now, right? There's some little bit of differences, but it's not better than what we're doing right now. It's just that he's getting in front of a lot more people personally and his teammates than most of you are. And at the end of the day, that's the difference. Why they have a 2 million point base shop, biggest in Canada, and you don't. It's not the presentation, though their presentation is great. It's the volume of people that they're getting in front of. And I know I took a bunch of notes, and I'm not planning on changing my presentation to start talking about a financial literacy campaign or anything like that. But what I noted from that is just his passion in talking about what we do and the difference we make and the lack of education out there. And it's all so true. So with that, everybody, thanks for being here. I also want to thank Mr. Adam Daw. I'm assuming Adam's on here somewhere. It was his idea to do this. So a quick shout out and a thank you very much to Adam. That was an awesome idea for us to get Landon to do this for us. So have an awesome afternoon, everybody. We'll talk to you soon.